Wando, Wizard Extraordinaire, Master of the Spook. This is the name and title attributed to one of the greatest assassins known to the people of Lothric. Born as a sorcerer, she journeyed to the land of Lothric, armed with a staff and sword in hand, as she knew her magic alone would not be enough to fulfill her wish. Her wish to see all the lords fall, and for the Age of Fire to be extinguished for good, down to the last smouldering ember, and to see the Age of Man rise from the broken ashes that scattered across the kingdom. To do this, she followed the path laid out before her by those who fought the flame in the past, and paved the way for her to finally snuff out the last flame. Wando was the first in this line of humanist sword-wielding sorcerers. She began the fight inside the kingdom of Lordran, when she fought against the god who brought about the Age of Fire to begin with, Gwyn. She met with the primordial serpent Kath, and he showed her how to begin tearing down the decrepit kingdom which had been left to rot for far too long, as well as how to bring about the Age of Man. Her resolve was furthered when she met with Dusk, a mage from the land of Ulasil, the only human settlement to ever exist. Wando witnessed the horrors of the Abyss and what became of Ulasil, and, as a result, she sought to make the world in the image of what Ulasil was and could have been. To this end, after defeating Gwyn, she left the fire to smoulder down to nothing. She left to mother her young son, who would later seek to once again snuff out the fire. Int Longstaff is the son of Wando. He does not share the same last name as her because it is only the females of the family who carry the Wando name. He travelled to the kingdom of Dranglake to cure himself of the undead curse because he did not wish to lose his humanity, the very thing that his mother fought so hard to protect. During this time, Int learned that the Queen Nashandra was a fragment of Manus, the creature who unleashed the Abyss upon Ulasil and ensured their demise. Int discovered that in order to cure his curse, he would need to kill Nashandra and gain access to the throne, for the flame resides within. Thus, he set off on a more direct warpath than before. Killing the queen, he claimed the throne, but realized that if he was to cure himself, he would have to light the flame anew, and he was not willing to do this. He returned to his home to raise his daughter, Wando, in the hopes that she would do what he could not. Wando carries with her the mission set upon by her grandmother and continued by her father, but she seeks a way to permanently end the Age of Fire and to succeed where her predecessors had failed. However, this is not the only reason that she seeks to end the Age of Fire, as the land from which she hails had a strong influence over her actions. She travels to Lothric, from the Land of Hollows, the land of Londor. Londor, known as the Land of Hollows, a kingdom filled with the oldest of the Hollows and well known for its secrecy and deceit. This kingdom was built partially to worship the primordial serpent Kath, who commonly preached that the Age of the Gods was at an end, and that the Age of Man was poised to come to fruition. So, the citizens of Londor sought to take responsibility for this task. The land is also known for the infamous Sable Church, who would often send their pale shades across the lands to fulfill insidious assassinations in order to see the Age of Man come ever closer to their grasp. The church has also dispersed agents throughout the lands of Lothric in the form of their pilgrims who seek death so they can transform into the angels seen near Lothric Castle, as well as other agents who act as important characters who all provide aid to Wando. Yoel is the first of these agents to aid Wando and is one of the pilgrims. He provided the sorcerer with the ability to draw out her inner strength with the use of the dark sigils. Sigils which Yoel gives to her in exchange for an increase in her abilities that also increases her hollowing. Once she has obtained the 5 sigils he has to give and increased her hollowing accordingly, Yoel feels truly fulfilled and allows himself to pass away in the service of his mistress.
Be safe, our lord.
These are the words that Yoel speaks after Wando obtains all the sigils and leaves him for the last time. These words symbolize that he recognizes what Wando is to become, the Lord of Hollows, and he's satisfied to release his hold on life when he recognizes that he has helped his new lord. After Yoel passes away, he's replaced by one of the founding sisters of the Sable Church, Yuria of Londor. She thanks Wando for allowing her close friend Yoel to redeem himself in her service, and seeks to do the same by pledging her service to the one who she knows will become the lord that will restore the glory of what Londor once was. Additionally, she asks Wando to kill another resident of Firelink Shrine who had been claiming to be the Lord of Hollows out of fear that he could become a problem in the taking of the throne. Most importantly, she reveals to Wando that she was guiding another, Anri of Astora, who was to become her betrothed. With this marriage, she obtains the final 3 dark sigils that she needs, and completes the first step she takes to claiming the title of Lord of Hollows.
Ah, our lord and liege, I presume thy holy vows are sworn? Wonderful. Now thou art the true and deserving Lord of Hollows. With the spouse, the strength to claim the fire is thine. Thy lordship, I prithee wrest the fire from its mantle. I, Yuria, and all Londor embrace thy impending lordship. Our lord and liege, I prithee, play the usurper, when the moment cometh to link the fire. Wrest it from its mantle. The age of fire was founded by the old gods, sustained by the linking of the fire. But the gods are no more, and the all-powerful fire deserveth a new heir. Our Lord of Hollows, it shall be, who weareth the true face of mankind.
Carrying on her shoulders the expectations of not only her lineage, but the hopes and desires of the land of Londor, Wando began her journey through the land of Lothric, taking the souls from the cowards who would not see their duty fulfilled. Systematically, she travelled through the lands, killing all those who opposed her in order to take the souls of the lords so as to reach the kiln and do what they did not have the strength to. During this journey, her resolve only increased as she walked through the Grand Archives where the first scholars questioned the linking of the fire, but ultimately did nothing to change their kingdom, and only revealed to the princes just enough to make them apathetic towards their duty. Enraged at this finding, she took her anger out on the scholars through the use of the spell Soul Stream, which is created by the very same scholars of the archive. In this way, she used their creation to tear down all they had held up despite not having a true belief in their actions. Finally, after she had killed the lords and taken their souls, she placed them upon their hollow thrones and continued to the kiln where her real goal lay, the soul of Cinder itself and the last thing standing between her and the flame. There, she fights for not only her life, but for the legacy of the Wando family and the Hollows of Londor. The fight is long and grueling, but Wando emerges victorious. As she stands in front of the flame, she raises her hand, the immense power in front of her slowly consuming her, and she collapses. When she awakens, she can feel the power of the flame coursing through her, and she rises to see the Sable Church and Yuria have come to her side to welcome their new lord into the world. At long last, the Wando family has fulfilled their mission and put the Age of Fire to rest. Now, the Age of Man will reign over the lands, and new kingdoms may finally rise. Claiming the title of the Lord of Hollows was not enough for Wando. Once that was done, she sought out those who abandoned the Sable Church, for none shall be allowed to leave and live. In light of this revenge, she sought out the founding sister who abandoned the church, Elfrida, and her knight Wilhelm, who fled the church when they no longer felt the need to stay. She discovered a strange man inside the Church of the Deep, and upon speaking with him, is transported into the world of Ariandel, where she meets a strangely familiar-looking woman. When speaking with Yuria after this encounter, Yuria says this:
"Ah, our lord and rightful liege, thy scent seemeth most familiar, a sweet fragrance long faded from our own bosoms. My lord, how this came to pass I know not, but take heed. Kindness can wear upon one's principles."
Naturally, this makes Wando wary of the woman, but it was worth fulfilling her request for a time to ascertain who she truly was. However, she's confronted with a horrible truth when the Black Knight Wilhelm approaches with the onyx blade in hand. He speaks about defending his lady and attacks. Wando had already intended to kill him for his betrayal, so this assault is almost welcome as it saved her the trouble of hunting Wilhelm down. After felling the knight, she makes her way back to Sister Frida, as she is calling herself now, and she seeks to burn Ariandel to the ground, along with Frida, who recognized the Lord of Hollows the moment she stepped through the door. Naturally, Frida does not wish to give her life willingly, and fights with the ferocity and tenacity befitting a founding member of the Sable Church, though, ultimately, her flame is snuffed out as well. Upon returning to speak with Yuria while holding Frida's soul, she says,
"Ah, our lord and liege, 'twas the soul of my sister, Elfrida, a poor wench turned to ash, who would abandon Londor. If thou wouldst, let it nourish thy lordship, and in return do her one small kindness. Remember those who stayed by her to the end, in the shadows cast by fire. And lastly, my lord, take up thy rightful mantle of usurper."
This confirms that Frida was truly Elfrida, one of the founding sisters of the church who abandoned Londor when she failed to either link or usurp the First Flame herself. Out of respect for Elfrida's fighting spirit and her achievements, Wando dons the ordained dress to resemble Elfrida and help her spirit fulfill its once held desire for the resurrection of Londor. In this form, she seeks the final obstacle, the last vestige to seek the Dark Soul and bring back the flame, Slave Knight Gale. After putting an end to the betrayer, Wando traveled to the end of the world, to the end of the Age of Fire. Past the Dread Heap, the Ringed City is thought to be the end of the world, where all lands will converge, though Wando is actually the one who caused this convergence through her actions. However, she did not visit the city solely to see the fruits of her labor, but rather to bring down the final opponent to her power, the last one to seek the Dark Soul. Slave Knight Gale rests at the end of the Ringed City. Having hollowed long ago, he kills all hollows before him with the sole desire of obtaining the Dark Soul and burning down the painted world to bring about a new one. Naturally, his hollowing brought with it a strong bout of madness, and this is why he posed such a threat to Wando's power. He was a crazed man with nothing left to lose, and sought the power to destroy the Wando Empire. This madness can be seen during their fight in the feral ferocity of his movements when he gets down on all fours and charges her like a rabid animal, still holding his long blade. However, even Gale would fall to the magic and might of Wando. She would not see her kingdom fall once more to the Age of Fire. After he was vanquished, she sat there at the end of the world to see what her kingdom was to become, and she knew that she did what she had set out to do. She could finally rest. Wando, Wizard Extraordinaire, Master of the Spook. It's quite the title. The question is though, where did it come from? It's a two-part homage to one of the most inspiring figures that her grandmother told her about. That person's name was Dusk. Dusk was one of the most important figures associated with the town of Ulasil, and she was also the one who invented the sorceries associated with the long-forgotten lands. One of these happens to be none other than the titular Spook. Along with the mastery of the spell being part of her self-given title, the decision to be a wizard comes from the fact that Dusk liked to create so many of her own spells, and that she felt it would be a fitting way to honor her. Finally, a more physical representation of the love that Wando holds for Dusk is the fact that she wears the crown Dusk was known for throughout her journey to bring pride to not only Dusk, but also to her grandmother and Wando. Alright, well, I hope everybody enjoyed that video. Thank you very much to Taylor for writing the entire script for this. Taylor is really good at actually writing scripts, not my forte at all, but Taylor's actually brilliant at it. So it's awesome that he enjoys it and is happy to make these scripts for me to read. They are good fun. So yeah, definitely massive shout out to Taylor for the script, for sure. If you somehow haven't seen the full series that this video is about, I'll have a link to the playlist in the description. Check it out. I think it's possibly our best series. I don't know, it's our very first one that I did with Chris and Taylor. It's definitely up there as one of the best. Alright, that'll do it for this video. Thank you guys very much for watching. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed this, and I will see you next time. Goodbye!